For the queen, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and booty walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sin kiss goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog. When God made you, boo, you know he showed out. Mahogany enchantress, blessings overflow now. Picture of success, seductive silhouettes on a spiritual quest. Manifest and be blessed. Mother, sister, auntie, tribe of Ashanti. Rocking your locks, I got a close crop blondie. The curse and the gift, uplift, apply pressure. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. This is a podcast all about mental health and wellness, especially geared towards our sisters, because we can relate to each other only how we know to relate. But thank you all so much for tuning in, and happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, this is a bonus episode, so thank you all for joining. Make sure you follow Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, and definitely visit blackgirlsgettingtheirshifttogether.com. We're going to get right. Oh, also, I'm also have an audio podcast. So make sure you visit the audio podcast under the same name, Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. And when you visit, make sure and give your girl a 5-star review. Okay? It's okay. I don't mind. But we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes of everything. I have a lovely guest. She's a show favorite, and she's one of my favorite people that I talk to all the time. And I really do adore her. And when you all see her face, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember her. I remember her. So let me bring my beautiful guest out of the waiting room. There she is.
Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's to you. Let me move over just a bit. Yes, I'm so grateful to be here today on this day of love. And if I can, just take a moment to remind everyone that you don't need to have a boo or a husband or a Valentine to allow yourself to experience and appreciate your own love. So love on you today. That's I'm gonna start out with that message.
I love it. I love it. And I do understand what you mean about that. Looking for others for validation, but find that love from within. Hello, Andretta. That's a beautiful name. She said, hey, y'all beautiful ladies.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, she's been all over my pages. Thank you for being here live.
So we're going to get right into it. I just want to share with everyone the motivation of me doing this bonus episode. One, because it is Valentine's Day, but Sarita pretty much said it, you know, which is true. Find that love from within. Because if we're waiting on it from other people, we'll be in a constant loop and waiting for someone else when we can find it from within. So, this message goes, this show is for anyone who's a single woman, but you know you're a good woman inside. There's, not flawed. You know what? Why don't I have a man on this Valentine's Day?
Mhm.
Right. So that's what the motivation is, because I've been there before also, and I'm learning. So first, Sarita, can you just tell everybody? We know you're the whole therapist, but who are you, Miss Hoodie?
This is like the question I've worked practically my whole life, it feels like, to be able to answer. But I got answers now. That's what healing will do for you. I'm Sarita Yvonne. I'm your educated and validated relational trauma expert, your unapologetic half hood, half holy trauma coach, and your phenomenal psychotherapist.
If that gave you all chills, put a one at the
That
comment
be
section.
me.
So let's talk about it today. Today's topic is being single on Valentine's Day.
Can I just add one thing? I would love, yes, I think single on Valentine's Day is so important, but I also want to talk to my ladies who are in relationships that sometimes wish they weren't. Because then it's real, because I have been there. I have been
Yeah.
in a relationship, but wished I was alone. So everything that we talk about today will absolutely apply to you too, because we are going to break down why so many of us struggle in our relationships and have so much conflict and don't get our needs met.
Mm. Mm. I'm already triggered, but I have tools. Okay, so Charmitra says, I'm in a relationship and I'm still here for it.
Oh, and you're going to learn something today. So thank you for being here, sis. Thank you.
And George, oh, I remember Georgette's name. She said that fucking part. The
Oh,
one,
hey, baby. She
the
is
one.
one of my students of love. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I would love your feedback and your thoughts after or anytime during the podcast, but definitely let me know what you think.
Right, definitely. So everyone, please put your questions in the comment section. We're going to get right to it. So for some of the ladies who have been in Sarita's class, and we're going to talk about the class as well, but I am a student as well in her class. There's a little feedback on your end.
On my end?
Yeah, maybe if you turn the volume down a little if possible. So while she's doing that, we've learned about attachment styles in her class. So we're going to go deep dive and peel back a lot of onion layers on one of the attachment styles. But for those who do not know, can you briefly explain attachment styles?
Yeah, so I'm going to do my best to simplify everything that I talk about. If you have any questions, this is what we're here for. This is a dialogue, okay?
Yes.
So attachment styles are the way that you learn to love and bond. And see, the interesting thing about attachment styles is I think we need to be learning about this kind of stuff in school, like, the basics that we learn. We really need to learn, like, how the fuck did I come to be? Because when you understand that, you will be able to recognize and to process so much of what happens in your life. And so with attachment styles, they are formed in the first 3 years of life when we are absolutely the most vulnerable, when we don't have the language to express ourselves. But it is about you, or humans in general, getting all of your needs met, and getting your needs met in a way and in an environment from people who are safe and secure, meaning they are attentive, they mirror you, which means you're validated, your feelings are respected, they are responsive to you. Like, it takes a whole lot of love and a whole lot of fucking energy to raise a healthy, thriving human being. Now, if
Mm,
something goes wrong, whether it's the parents don't have the capacity, they're stressed, they're tired, they're impoverished, they're addicted, they're narcissistic, they're codependent, some things may go a little awry. So basically, I'm trying to be gentle with my language here. It means that you fundamentally learn, and your brain is shaped around not feeling and being safe. A lot of us struggle with trust issues from when we were 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. And this is what attachment style really um, seeks to understand and really explain about how we learn to love. And I hope that explanation makes sense.
It does. It does. And if anyone, again, if you have questions about that, so from my understanding, there's four attachment styles, correct?
There is.
Four. Yeah. So we're gonna go into the avoidance.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that I'm giving you information that's meaningful and makes sense. So I'll give you a very brief overview, because they're typically the attachment styles are divided into typically two parts, but then we can go even further, and that would
Mm.
be in terms of the insecure attachment styles, which would be the anxious attachment style and the avoidant. Now, if you want to get very clear, the attachment style where you know you're balanced, you're confident, you're resilient, you're non-reactive, like you good with folks, you have problems, but you bounce back quickly. That's called secure attachment. Now,
Yes.
the attachment style when we are emotional, we're hungry for love, we engage in fantasy relationships, we're like very clingy, we crave love and attention from other people, is called anxious attachment styles. Now, the avoidant, which is like we block in love, okay? I might want to be loved because as a human being, we all do. It's a drive to be connected to other people. But
Mhm.
because of our trauma, we will intentionally, unintentionally block it, create circumstances, reasons. We will fear it. We will make excuses. And it's a subconscious process. Like most people who are avoidant, which a lot of us good women, you are. I know, breathe. None of this is meant to blame or shame,
No, not
but
at
it's to
all.
understand how and why you block love. So the avoidant is emotionally distant. They might isolate. They have a lot of internal conflict. They might be dramatic.
In what way?
Well,
Dramatic, what way?
oh, I'm going to break it down. And
Okay.
unpredictable. So those are your basic attachment styles. So you said in what way?
Yeah, the
So,
dramatic part of it.
well, basically dramatic meaning that you use drama, sound familiar, in order to attach people, not actual real intimacy. It's like pseudo intimacy. I'm coming off
Mm.
like I'm very open and my heart is open and I'm ready for love. But my actions and my fears will actually prevent me from being vulnerable and deeply connecting to other people. Does that make sense?
Body stand, body stand, body stand.
This is where shit gets real. And when you understand the why of what you do, then you can change your patterns and heal. Otherwise, you're going to keep doing the same thing, attracting the same partners, and feeling unworthy because of it. It's your
Oh,
choice.
look who stepped into the chat.
Who
Look.
in the chat? Who in the chat? Dr.
Robin.
View, that's my homie, my ride or die. Thank you for being here, Robin.
Can I put a pin in this for a second? I'm gonna step out of the hostess role and now I'm gonna show up as Ursula, a student of Love You. This is what I love about Robin. She has those note cards and she will put them up in the chat. When we talk about the drama triangles, I'm like, yes, Robin, it's exactly.
She my ride or die.
And for my classmates, if the drama triangle sounds familiar, put a one in the comment section right now. Because
Yes, and so let me say, because we don't want any of your listeners to be like, "What are they talking about?"
I know
But
that's why I said let me step out of hostess role, but I'm back as a hostess.
And I definitely want to see all of my ladies who recognize the drama triangle, because the drama triangle is what I have been teaching extensively on, because it breaks down how we find ourselves tapping in others to drama, being tapped in to the drama, how we use drama as a way to stay connected to people. There's rules to this drama shit. It's not accidental. When we have complicated and complex relationships, we are stepping into roles, we are assuming an identity, we're wearing masks. And this is absolutely the source of a lot of dysfunctional relationships.
Mm,
There's
mm.
Yes, there's an explanation for much of what we do and experience in our relationships, because it's really unaddressed trauma or unaddressed pain.
So, can you give more examples of what it looks like to be avoided, but you really do want love, but you're also avoiding it like the Matrix? When love comes, you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
oh,
Each one of us got a little Neo in us, okay? That's
girl.
real. And so
Look, I used to have my trench coat.
I'm telling you. So let me kind of, this is I think so significant, and I'm going to break this down so that you understand what it looks like when you are in these basically trauma responses patterns
Mhm.
in your relationships. So the anxious, the clingy, craving for love. I'm fearing that
Mhm.
you're not getting my needs met. I'm gonna list all the receipts and all the ways that you're doing things wrong and you're not loving me the way that I need to, but yet I'm not even
Woo!
honestly expressing what I need. Okay. So that behavior is clings to others, acts weak and vulnerable, and then you'll flip and then cuss the person out the next day. But let me stay focused. Is
I can
overwhelmed by your
see.
own feelings.
I
You are
can
other
see.
centered. So you always want to do for other people. You love a good rescue. You addicted to people. You will easily take a breath, what I'm about to say, easily be invaded by others
What does
because
that
you don't
mean?
set boundaries.
Oh,
You got, there's some areas where you might have low self-esteem. You will act
mhm.
incompetent, but then when it comes to saving folks, you move mountains. We crazy. We will act insecure, will feel guilty, especially when setting boundaries, craves intimacy and closeness, has people pleasing tendencies, and usually has suffered some neglect or trauma in childhood. Okay, so I want you to see this because I'm gonna walk it out for you. I'm gonna walk it out. Now, the avoidant attachment style. So people who, we human, we want love, but it scares the shit out of me. We will push others away.
Right.
We act strong and vulnerable. Our ultra independence. Oh, yes. Ultra
Strong and
independence. It
vulnerable.
will help you get shit done, but it will block love. It will cut you off from your own feelings. So we kind of numb. You will actually be self centered. A lot of us are self centered, but we don't realize it. Uh, but let me put a pin in that. We are addicted to activities or substances. So instead of being connected to other people, we might be connected to things, work, food, sex, anything that people can be addicted to. It's like you're having a relationship with external things and not necessarily deep, intimate relationships with people. You will have a
Ooh.
falsely inflated sense of self-esteem. So we look, when those of us who are avoiding or have avoidant tendencies, oh, we know how to look good. We know how to put on. I know because this was my mask. I'm going to be fly in public and then cry when I'm alone by myself. That's a sign of being a little avoidant. You will try to look good. You will act secure. You will act strong. You'll blame others. Blame is a tool because it's all about other people, because that's a way that you avoid intimacy and closeness. You might act a little grandiose, and you will be controlling or a people controller. So you want to control things as an illusion and an attempt to feel like you have some power over things that you don't have power over.
Mm. Can you explain the grandiose part?
Oh, so, and this can be a little bit difficult for us to acknowledge, and I will use myself as an example.
Okay.
It's hard to say because I know y'all gonna be bucking this one. Duck if you buck for real. Because of a lot of us have unresolved childhood trauma, and I think just growing up, being Black, and having to adapt to a hostile world
Ooh,
is traumatizing because you have to become numb to certain things. So I think a lot
girl.
of us are a lot of us have a tendency to be grandiose, but we mask it. We mask it with being good, being a rescuer, being a helper. Because, see, if I'm rescuing, if I'm helping you, if I'm always giving to other people, then some part of me believes that you're not capable and I'm more capable. I'm better to tell you what to do and to tell you how to operate than you are. We don't like
Wow.
to acknowledge that as being grandiose, but it's like we use people. A lot of us do it. I know, take a breath. A lot of us save and help and rescue, and we tell ourselves that we're good and that we're loyal because it shores us up. It gives us a hit of worthiness. So if I'm helping those who are less fortunate, those who aren't as smart as I am or capable as I am, then that gives me the one up position. Yes, because I'm better. I'm better
Mm,
at solving your problems than you are.
mm.
And that is the root of a lot of our superwomen and martyr roles that we play, that it's difficult for us to see that. And that's because it's rooted in trauma. It's rooted in your experiences before you had words. Like I just talked about attachment styles. So we
Mhm.
don't see it.
I feel seen.
How was that? Was that too deep?
Yes, it was, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we're here to learn. So, yeah, I mean, I had some aha moments just now. I thought I was one way, but I see have some avoidance sprinkled in my DNA as well.
And see, let me explain this. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because those of us who've experienced trauma, we can go to both extremes in the same relationship. You can cycle. So you can be clingy and needy and, don't set boundaries. And then at the right time, in the right situation, when the right things are said or done, or you have the right amount of stress, you can flip and go to avoiding and cut people off and act very strong and blame them and make them responsible and refuse to be vulnerable in an effort to protect yourself.
So, what I hear you saying is that attachment styles or the trauma response is not always linear, it's
No,
definitely fluid, right?
it's not. And more recent trauma research has shown that you just don't have one attachment style. There is even research that shows you can have one attachment style or different attachment styles in different relationships. But when we have
Yes.
gone through a lot of shit, you can absolutely have both because so many of us have been taught to be adults. We never really got to experience a childhood. And
Mm,
that, yes, those experiences teach us that we don't know how to have balance and we're not secure within ourselves. So we can go to either extreme and then say we
mm.
want love, but you're doing everything to block real, deep, intimate love, and you're never allowing anyone to get to know you. That's what
Wow.
these attachment styles really are about. Girl, put that back up. Put that comment back up.
So we have a comment for those who cannot see it. Our sister said, how can one broken person try to help another broken person? I did and was crazier for it.
That
Girl.
whole question is the premise of what we are talking about because
Yeah.
one person, and I don't think anyone is ever really broken, but when we've experienced trauma it can look and feel that way. But if you are broken, you can't goddamn save nobody but yourself.
Right. That's why when she put that on there, I was like, I get it. That's why there's no judgment in this conversation because God
None.
touches all of us. When she put that on
No
there, I was
judgment.
like, ouch,
This
ouch.
is about understanding our patterns and our behavior. This is not any conversation that I ever have. There is no place for shame because shame is what
None.
keeps us locked into these patterns. We have to be willing to tell the truth from a place of love and understanding.
Yes. Can we briefly talk about this? What Georgette said. This really touched my soul because I get it when she said that part grew up not raised.
Yes.
That that hurt. I felt that.
That is what trauma that is the basis of relational trauma. Is we were not raised. We were not, most of us were not given the space to really develop a sense of self. We were forced to play roles and to act a certain way and to not have emotions. And it's not okay to cry. All of these things um, may be familiar within our culture. I mean, the Black culture specifically
Mm,
and even in the general culture, but I think for us even more so because of racism. Because that's real. We don't have the luxury of acting and being and having certain experiences in the world because the penalty is high, the
wow.
possibility of death. So for us, I think in the Black culture, a lot of us have been raised to be numb
May I share?
unintentionally.
I'm going to
Yeah.
share my
Okay.
experience. So, growing up, uh, my father was emotionally absent, is, and I used to see how he would talk and treat my mother. And then I used to say, when as a child, because as you're talking, I was really ringing. And as a child, I used to say, I will never be soft like her because she's still being nice to him and he's going to keep doing this. And now I see how it has translated as an adult, where this whole time I'm thinking that I had the anxious attachment, but I was fluid and went into the avoidant because I remember I used I used to think that cutting some men off was a freaking superpower and wore that badge so proud. Like, look what I did. Now I don't give a damn. Yeah, I left him standing at my door, knocking on my door, and I watched him from the window and got off on it. Girl, I'm done. Woo.
Me too.
I didn't know that that was a void.
Yes. I mean, it keeps you in a position of power, right?
Yes, and I
And
felt
we
empowered when I did it.
yes. I think so many women have become this way because we saw certain things growing up and we vow that won't be me. I'm not putting up with that shit.
Yeah.
But because of that, we also never had the experience and we don't know how to have true vulnerability and intimacy. And when we come across a partner who requires that of us, the part of you that's afraid, the part of you that doesn't know how to bond securely will say, I'm not attracted to him. He's boring. I'm just not feeling it. It's just, we just don't have that chemistry because that chemistry that you're used to is based on drama and trauma patterns. Ain't nothing wrong with that, good man. You need to heal. I'm just saying, me too. Listen,
Yeah.
I know. Because it's your trauma patterns that are these very patterns that I'm talking about are, first of all, let me say that research, plenty of trauma research shows that attachment dictates your adult relationships. So I'm not
Mm.
just giving you my opinion on this. I'm talking decades of attachment research. And it's also important to understand, I think, in the Black community, for both Black men and Black women, we consider vulnerability a weakness. Do we not?
Yes.
Do we not fear it? Do we not think that it's bad. It means that you will be prey.
Yeah.
But because you haven't healed your trauma, you become prey anyway because you don't even recognize your patterns and that you attracted to predators.
I'd be scared. No, I'm for real. I know we can't do it. Ooh. So you just putting it all in once again. Can you lube us up a little bit before you say,
No, we
yeah?
going in raw. We ain't got time. We've been hurting too long. Our kids, we pass it on our crazy to our kids. Fuck no. You've been getting it raw, dog. You're gonna get it raw today.
This is good raw. This is good raw, not the toxic raw. This is healing raw.
Yes.
And I love what
And
you
I'm
said
I'm gonna
about.
hit all them walls, baby. I'm gonna hit all them walls.
But what you're making me laugh. But what really resonated when you said how we pass it down to our children
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
unintentionally.
Wh-
I really don't think well, at least in my case, I don't know. I just had another aha moment. My mom did intentionally because she used to just ignore it. She would do that with her hand, just ignore it.
And so basically her coping skill was denial. So when that's one of our coping skills when we are in toxic relationships, you will absolutely teach your child to deny it too because your child is in pain, your child is asking questions, your child is like, why the hell is this happening? And if
Mhm.
someone if a parent has unaddressed trauma and shame, then they will do everything that they can to teach the child how to disconnect from the real truth, from the real sense of self,
Mm.
because the child's acknowledgement of what is happening that don't make no damn sense triggers the parent shame. It triggers their yes, it triggers their issues because the child is naturally calling it out what mom and dad or whoever don't want to see. So
Girl.
yes, we do teach the child our very sometimes damaging and toxic ways of coping and relating because we haven't dealt with our stuff.
Mm. Well, the beautiful thing is we have some engaged sisters on here. If you're not saying anything, the numbers are showing it. And I love that. We're all hungry for this. We are. And Nini, this was great. She said generational trauma is real, but that cycle ends with me.
Yes, come through. Yes, I know you in the Love You Challenge. That's why we healing for real. Okay.
Yeah, not the false one. Can we touch on Georgette's comment? She said, our wounded inner child raising our children. Let's touch on that.
Yes. Well, when we talk about attachment style, what we are talking about are our wounds, the way that we were wounded. And so many of us struggle because we were wounded before we really had, as you may have heard me say before, you were pre-verbal, before you had the ability to understand emotions and express, which is why so many of us struggle with issues like anxiety and depression because we don't really, you don't know and you don't remember that you're actually being triggered from a past emotional experience. I didn't mean to go too deep. So let me make it a little bit surface. When we have unresolved wounds, no matter if it was 6 months or 6 years or 60, if we don't address those wounds, we will absolutely parent our children from those wounds because
Mm.
those wounds are the ways that you learn to stay safe, even if it's toxic, even if it's dysfunctional. So you will unconsciously teach your children to do and feel and think the same way. You will.
Had to breathe for a moment. It's real.
It is real.
And while you're talking, I'm thinking, even for the sisters who do not have children, it still leaks out into relationships.
Oh, it First of all, it will do more than leak out. It will determine your relationship, because when I gave you the list of the anxious and the avoidant, those
Mhm.
two are naturally attracted to one another.
I was actually
So
going to ask you that question because I never understood that part. How someone who's anxious, excuse me, how someone who's avoided. I get it. You want the love, but you don't. But how are those two, like Georgette says, the toxic dance? How are
those
they now?
are the most common relationship types, because when you think of trauma patterns, they're a perfect fit. See, this is not logic, okay? This is how we, and I'm going to break down during the challenge how we actually are attracted to people who will re-traumatize us or remind us of our trauma. So if I grew up with a father, which I did, who was emotionally unavailable, who was physically absent, then have learned that love, I have to work for love. I have to own love. That for me, what is familiar is being in love with someone who really doesn't know how or isn't capable or won't love me back the way that I really need it. That's what's familiar, and human beings love in a way that's familiar. So if I grew up, like for example, Ursula, you gave your um uh experience of a narcissistic father.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's certain dynamics, and it doesn't mean that everything that your father did or said, but the dynamics of emotional unavailability is normal for you.
Right.
It was normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that pattern, that dance of having the unpredictability, of having the drama, of having the chaos, of having someone not meet your needs stems from attachment, of how you learn to love. That's why you're a perfect match when you have unhealed wounds, because that person is your womb mate. They will let you to continue to reenact these same patterns of love that you learned when you were two, three, four, five, six. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
It does. It does make sense. For the avoidant, do they get, I don't know what the correct word is, like repulsed from someone loving on them? I can give another. Hey, Erica. I can give another example of myself. I've dated. Oh, I dated a man, and he was great on paper, but I
Mhm.
remember we dated for about a year and a half. I'm like, damn, he's never told me he loved me. Then we got in an argument driving down the street, and he literally could not say he like. It looked like he was trying to uh, regurgitate acid for real. It seemed like he was repulsed by even being in that situation. Of course, the relationship is no longer there, but
So here's the deal with and you bring up a very good point with avoidance. So let me give you a benign example.
okay.
Let's say a child grew up in an environment where whenever they showed any kind of vulnerability, they were shamed or punished or abused. So, hey, look, mom and dad, I made this. Nobody wants to see that shit. Go sit down. Or I'm too busy. Or I reach out for love and affection as any child normally does, but the parent is completely unavailable emotionally and physically.
Mm,
So I've learned that anytime, and this is what happens because you've learned that it's not safe to feel, it's not safe to be vulnerable, it's not safe to be close to people because there will be pain and disappointment. So you've learned this. This is now part of your unconscious patterning if it happens continuously. And remember, when we're talking about complex trauma or relational trauma, it is trauma, whether it's extremely traumatic or whether it's emotional neglect or emotional abandonment. If it happens over time, in order to survive, the child must disconnect from their desire to connect to another human being, even though it's in them. They've learned that it's not safe. It's
Mm.
not safe. So as they go through life, they can be very, dependable and, perform well at work and do all the external tasks. But
Wow.
when someone tries to get close to them, it will trigger that old fear. It's called an abandonment wound. So it will trigger that fear and that insecurity that's deeply a part of who they think they are based on their pain.
Mm.
So when you try to get close to me, I will say, you need too much. I can't just give you what you need. And I will automatically retreat into my avoidant patterns, whether it's being a workaholic or engaging in some kind of substance abuse or sleeping with a bunch of women or saying, I just can't be in a relationship. Does this make
Mm.
sense?
Absolutely. It clicked in my head. Does it look different between men and women?
No. I mean, we're human, so we're doing the same things. I think that it could look different based on how we are raised and cultural expectations. So
Wow.
for men, I think Black men, I think too many young boys are taught that it's to in order to be a man or be seen as a man, you need to be is having sex with a bunch of women, you need to have a bunch of women. So I think a lot of them are taught things as men and as boys.
Mhm.
These are tools that they have in their specific toolbox that help them to
Mm.
avoid attachment. Does that make sense?
Mm. It does. Wow. Mm. Yeah, I'm really processing a lot of this right now. But this is some good stuff. Yeah, Erica, you're right. She said this is so true. And Georgette said this shit is ghetto.
This shit is ghetto, but it's human. Like this is what happens when we've not had the experience of having secure bonds. If we didn't have secure bonds with our caregivers or our parents, we will struggle to have secure bonds later in life because people are constantly triggering your wounds.
Yes. Wow. Mm. Yes, and another Erica said this is good stuff.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad. I'm trying to break it down as best as I can.
Is it safe to say? Can we go a little deep? No, we'll say that for the challenge. I just got excited.
Some folks
See,
can barely handle this. I'm just saying.
just put the tip in for them, but we want it to the base.
And can let me say one thing because I think this
Please
is
do.
so significant for my super women that the avoidant parts of you, or if you have avoidant attachment, having needs can be scary because it's triggering your wounds. So that's why for some of you, you don't speak up for what you want and what you think. You don't
Yes.
you don't express your boundaries or hold your boundaries because it's not necessarily, let me be clear because I'm trying to be gentle with y'all. It's never the other person. So many times we don't do things or we're doing things to avoid our own pain. And we just make other people responsible for it. So, us
Ooh.
super women, we are doing a whole lot of self disconnection and self suppression in order to have relationships. But it's not that that's the way relationships need to go, or that's not because, this is the right way. It's because it's how you've learned to disconnect yourself. And we all have to be willing to confront that
Mm.
because a lot of us super women, we ignore our own needs and it shows up in your relationships.
It really does. It really does. I love what Robin said about put down the damn cape.
Exactly. But we gotta burn the fucking cape, as I say. But I think the challenge that some of us have with that is that when you discard the cape, there's nothing, and I'm trying to slow walk this.
Slow stroke.
there's nowhere else left to hide.
Yes.
Ooh, and that can be terrifying for some of us. It can be difficult, it can feel difficult. But you can do hard things because you done been through a bunch of hard shit. So I know that you have it within you to be able to see yourself and to look at yourself and to own yourself when you put down the cape and feel your feelings. Some of us have spent our entire life not feeling feelings and we
Yeah,
don't know how to do it.
because I know when I had taken off the cape, I felt very exposed and it wasn't comfortable. And it was just easier, even if that cape had bricks in it, to put all of it and just shroud myself with it. Mm. In relationships, yeah, that's some stuff. May I read a couple of comments? So Erica's dope discussions live said, depending on others for even a small portion of our happiness is scary when you haven't healed from past disappointments. I'm guilty.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. And another Erica said, wow, Lord, this is what was wrong with me. I shall confront this today.
And, and see, let me say, Erica, what I'm hoping to give all of you is some understanding about your patterns. This, what I'm explaining here, is deep, but this is just the surface of the deep. We all need help and support. And this is why we struggle as we try to heal on our own. And you can't, because you can't heal something that you don't understand. And I'm going to break this down more deeply during the challenge. So I encourage all of you, of course, to come to the challenge, but also to seek help and support in a way that makes sense for you, because we all need help to heal. We're healing generations of trauma. We can't do that just by reading one book or watching one video or
No.
20 videos. But
So I'm listening. Go ahead, love.
I was just going to say, I thank you for your honesty.
Yes, that takes a lot of vulnerability. She took the cape off right there. That's amazing. And we do honor you for that vulnerability. And I love what Robin said, to show yourself some love and grace.
Mhm.
All right, everyone who's listening and watching, I just dropped Sarita's link about Love You Challenge. We're going to go into the next phase of this. We're going to talk about, matter of fact, piggybacking on what Erica said about addressing it. So we're going to shift it to the healing part and how to gain a tool on how to navigate through this healing. And if you click on that loveyouchallenge.com, that will take you to Sarita's challenge. And if you forget, take a screenshot of this right now, loveyouchallenge.com. And it's a free challenge. And guess what? It starts today. So, Sarita, can you talk about what this love challenge is? And anyone who has taken it, just drop in the comments your experience from being a part of it, whether it was the free challenge or in her class. Go ahead, sis.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I created this Love You Challenge because I realized that most of us have no idea what how complicated our issues and challenges really are. We have no idea how trauma has shaped our life. And because I, make content and I'm, a therapist, I realized that a lot of what I was really wanting to get across, it really wasn't hitting home. It wasn't making sense to people because they didn't even realize how their trauma was impacting them. And so
Mm-hmm.
I created this challenge, not holding anything back, because I wanted to give everyone, all of my participants, and just, my sisters in general, the opportunity to see how their experiences, their childhood experiences, have actually shaped their relationships, their adult relationships. You need to really understand what a trigger is, because so many people use the word, they have no idea, and how you're being controlled by your triggers. So the challenge is going to unpack all of that, including your core beliefs that you develop from the trauma, because your core beliefs are really your identity. It determines who you think you are, not who you really are, but who you think you are based on your unhealed wounds.
Mm. If anyone who has taken it, if you'd like to briefly come on and talk about how the challenge has changed your life or what you learned from it, I will drop the link in the chat right now, and you can come on and you can even tell Sarita hello. Are you okay with that, Sarita?
Of course, I love it. Thank you.
All right, so I just dropped the link, and anyone will come on, you can. But I love what you have on your challenge about becoming a soulmate that you deserve.
Exactly. So many of us, and I know this was me for so long. I was looking for the right one. Is he the one? Is he the one? Are you going to be my husband? Are you my husband? Like, I just had this fantasy of, life will be better when I attract the one who has all these wonderful qualities. Some I had, some I didn't. And how my life will be better. And it was all some fantasy bullshit,
Yeah.
because who I was looking for was me. What I really wanted was to be connected to my own soul. What I really needed was to burn the fucking cape. Because as long as we are wearing a cape, you're not connecting authentically to other people. You're not. I don't give a damn what you think you're doing. I don't care how loyal you think you are. You are giving things and showing up, but you're not giving yourself, your real self, your true self, your
Yes.
real feelings, your real thoughts, your real vulnerabilities, your real weaknesses. You're not giving that. And you're hiding behind the drama that you are actively involved in.
Let me tell you something. This was my thought process before. Look, Audrina said, ouch. Yes. There's going to be a lot of ouch moments, but,
Yeah.
we, you know what? Going through these toxic ass relationships with self and with other people, that's an ouch as well, too.
Listen,
Yeah.
that for some of us is emotional suicide. It's
Ooh.
extremely painful. It's extremely painful. And it can leave you feeling unworthy and unlovable. And it's not fucking true, because you can never be unworthy and unlovable. But because of your trauma, you're picking the wrong person, and then you are blaming yourself for what you didn't know. That's why we got to heal.
Yes, the subconscious of it all. I used to think before therapy, well, if I worked out enough, if I put my hair this way, if I say this, because I always thought, well, I'm not into the material part, but it was still all external, so I couldn't see it, and I'm still learning, but it was all external. I was not even thinking. Matter of fact, it was so deep in my subconscious, working on my inner self wasn't even a thought.
That is so real. What you just said is so real. Me too. I'm like, oh, if I get some more degrees and show I got something to bring to the table because I'm so smart and I got some money. And I was working on myself. But even because of my trauma, I was working on myself, focusing on manifesting and not really getting to the root or even being able to see my own denial.
Ooh, ooh,
And that really kept me making little changes, but not really transformational changes, because I was still in denial about my own pain.
yes, exactly. Erica said, this has messed me up. I never knew how to express my feelings because of how I grew up. It never mattered. Sis, same here. I
That's
get it. That's real.
it is real, and it's called trauma. It's called relational trauma. It is real. Because if you're a parent, if your feelings don't matter to the people who are supposed to love you, how do you learn how to validate your own feelings?
Ooh.
You got to learn it. You got to teach yourself. You're responsible now. We're responsible.
So speaking of teaching yourself, hey Tashara. So speaking of teaching yourself, how can you give a little tidbit about the challenge? Wait, before that, tell us when the challenge is, the details, when, where, how can we reach you?
Oh, okay. Well, of course, when you sign up for the challenge, you'll receive reminder emails with all the info. Please make sure that you check your email, check your spam. And if the welcome email goes to spam, move it to your main inbox because you will receive reminder emails today. It's happening at 7 p.m. Eastern time. All of the time zones are in the emails. I don't know about heart. And we are going to really be breaking down the root of trauma today. So it's happening. It's going down. It will be live streamed in our Facebook group for anyone wondering. Yes, it is only for Black women. Only for Black women. Please.
Can someone
Um,
type only in the comment thread, please? Thank you.
because we need a private space to heal. We do. Um, yeah, so it's going down tonight. It is 5 days. It is free and it is transformational. I know it is because I wouldn't have it any other way, baby.
Oh, that's right. It is transformational. Definitely. Thank you, Nini, for the only. Nini is my new BFF.
I'm telling you.
Let's read a couple of comments. The love is coming through. Georgette said, I kept looking for and choosing partners just like the parents that caused me pain, just like the parents that dismissed me, invalidated me, abused me, and muted me. Yes, Georgette, I get it. That's my life right there. But I did not know it. I did not know it. Matter of fact, my last relationship, when I say it was a carbon copy of my parents, I could not believe it. And I couldn't see it. I could not see it.
We can't. We can't.
And you know what? I'm gonna share this. I don't think I've ever said this out loud. One day we were driving down the street. We were in a big ass argument and I was crying so hard. And I said, I can't believe I'm here like this. I said, no one makes me this upset. No one but my father. You think I left that motherfucker? No.
That's
I
the
did it.
dance.
I
That's
still
the
did.
dance. That's the dance. And so many of us experience pain growing up that we think that it's normal to experience pain in relationship. Like
Yeah.
love is pain. And so that's why we choose people. And we don't often see how we're choosing partners like our parents or like the people who hurt us. We don't see it because we
No,
love in a way that is familiar. It's familiar to you, like a fish in water. And you can't see it until you're willing to have the eyes to see it.
yes. And I still had a glimmer of the eyes opening, but I just did this. Nope, I did this because he was making me feel good at some point. And I have learned to dismiss the toxic parts, the ignoring, and just the ebb and flow of the toxicity.
Mhm,
So
mhm. That's what happens in trauma bonds. That's exactly what happens in trauma bonds. That's how we stay bonded.
Erica said, wow. Yeah, it was a wow. So yeah, this is some good stuff. With make everyone please make sure and click in the comment section about the Love You Challenge. I love also what you said on your website about discerning the crazy makers who trigger your trauma and fear. This goes back to what I just
Yes.
talked about. And you can identify the characteristics of toxic individuals who trigger your fear and insecurities. Find the
Mhm.
relationship traps. that create the cycles of failed and painful relationships. Can we talk
Exactly.
about the relationship trap?
You need to come to the challenge, honey. So
Well, yeah, just the surface. Don't go deep. You got to give them a little.
so what I could not say, say what the real title is um in my ad, but it's actually discerning the crazy motherfuckers who trigger your trauma. And so it's important to understand the reason why I included this information in the challenge is because there are very specific behaviors that our partners do that trigger our wounds. It's not accidental. So if they are critical, for some of us, that's familiar. It's familiar, but it's also very triggering because it triggers that wound of not being enough. And a good predator, a good narcissist, he don't know shit about himself or herself, meaning they're not self-aware about their own stuff, but they can become extremely proficient at spotting, recognizing, asking, and acknowledging your triggers. That's how they hook you in. So you're actually being controlled by your own trauma and you think that it's this
God
person.
damn.
They are controlling you by your wounds. It's going down.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Georgette, she said, y'all gonna have. I can't even read it.
But listen, I'm gonna tell you, there's been quite a few of my Love You students. I mean, I would never call myself the queen of breaking up, but I have been responsible for some relationships ending. I'm just saying. Some relationships that shouldn't have never been relationships in the first place. And it wasn't even my intention. And half the time I didn't find out till afterwards. But in one of my clients who joined, her boyfriend paid for her to join, like, you you need this.
I
And then she
remember.
called me a month later and talk about he didn't even know that he was paying for me to learn how to break up with his ass. And it's not because I'm not an advocate of breaking up, but when you know who you are and when you understand your patterns, your soul won't let you tolerate the
Yes,
BS any
ma'am.
longer.
Yes, ma'am. That is so true. Oh,
So I
Georgette said,
said I'm done.
Georgette said, I'm single as fuck and didn't own it. But since Love You, I own that shit.
I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Georgette. Georgette does the work, honey. She does
Yeah.
the work. And that's what it requires. Like, we have to be willing to get an education in us if we want to break these generational cycles, break our own patterns.
But more importantly, break the trauma bond we have with ourselves.
Well, I think what she's saying is yes to breaking the trauma bonds. We are being controlled by our own trauma. And yes, you are. And that this is what the whole challenge is about. I'm going to walk you through what's happening and how it's happening so you can understand because you can't heal something that you don't even understand.
And Erica, Dope Discussions Live. This is a great point. We're giving them the ammunition by sharing too much, too soon, and ignoring the red flags from the narc.
Yeah, well, that comes from your attachment style, which is what this whole thing was about. So, if we're hungry for love, craving for love, I need someone to be love me. I don't want to be alone. I need someone.
Yeah.
The predator spots that. And because they know how to what's the word that I'm looking for? They know how to morph into what you
Shape
believe
shift.
you need. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. They know how to do that. And so you're giving the information. It's called pseudo vulnerability. Like you doing fake ass information by saying things about you, divulging your wounds, but you're not really, really being or creating deep, true intimacy because they're showing up with the mask. And because you ain't healed your trauma, you're seeing what you want to see. You're not seeing them as they are. You're ignoring the
Exactly.
way they violate your boundaries because they will violate your boundaries quick and often because that's how they get you in a trauma bond.
Can we add instead of boundary, in addition to boundaries, but the emotional boundaries?
Oh, listen, they come in knocking that shit down. And they
You
usually
know,
do it under the guise of love, like I'm here to rescue you. Meanwhile, Yeah. Yeah.
Andrea said,
And you're not alone. You are not alone, baby.
she
You
said,
just
"Not married."
you just have enough courage to be honest about it. And that's where
Yes.
a lot of us have to get to. Mhm.
We have a question for you. And Audretta, I get it. And you're right. She showed up with that statement. Erica said, Sarita, what do you say to a person who seems to be afraid to heal for real because they've made their own trauma their identity?
Um,
Woo.
if a person is afraid to heal for real, then what do I say? Because my intention is to give a person enough love and validation to let them know that they can heal when they're ready. Because of course we never want to shame, we never want to push, but a person has to be ready because the work is real, and they have to be ready not just to acknowledge their own pain but to come to their own rescue with love and not shame and judgment. So they got to be prepared to not just allow themselves to get sucked into all the things they did wrong and all the bad decisions that they made, but to recognize that you've learned and you've been who you've been based on your trauma, and you could not have done it any other way, but that you can learn when you're ready. So I
Mm,
give anyone love who's afraid, but at the end of the day, you get to decide, are you going to let your fear of healing control your destiny and determine your mates? That's the question that we all have to answer. Is, are we making fear our false idol and worshiping at the altar of fear and choosing to do it, but pretending otherwise?
ooh,
It's your choice.
false idol. That is so well said. Either way, you're going to walk through the fire.
You're going to walk through the fire and get that ass tapped and burned and seared because of what you're doing unconsciously to yourself. Trauma will have you betray yourself. And you got to decide, is this the life that you want? This is your life we're talking about. So you
Yes.
want to let that fear determine the course of your life? Are you? Like,
And
because at the end of the day, your fear is only what you make it. You give life to your fear as a creative being, as a child of God. You can breathe life into this fear every single day. Or you can decide, I have fear, but I also have the courage to get through it.
hmm
Use your creative powers the way you see fit, and you'll get what you get.
I once heard on this podcast, and he made so much sense when he's talking about breaking trauma bonds, whether it's with your own toxic traits or your other relationships you've been in. And he said he likened it to having if you had cancer and the doctor's telling you you're going to pass away in a year, but if you take these treatments, whether it's radiation, chemo, blah blah blah, you're still not going to feel good. You're probably going to lose your hair, you're going to lose weight, gain weight, but at the end, when you get through it on the other end, you're going to have another 80 years to live. And that's what he said. The choice is yours.
Yes, and you'll have a longer life to live and a more quality life. And you'll heal. You'll heal. Hair grows back. You can gain weight back. Like all of that is temporary. It's
It really is.
temporary. The pain is temporary, but your life and the quality of life and the person that you become. Because if you allow yourself to go through the journey, to go through the valley, to meet your soul, who you become in the
Yes.
process is really what your life is all about. Is really what your purpose is about. So you can say, well, I'm afraid. Basically, what you're saying is I'm afraid to step into my purpose, because the transformation, it's not just, oh, I just want to get a lover, but it's like, who are you, who's in there that been hiding all this time and running and being scared? That ain't the real you, baby. That ain't the God in you.
It
That's
really
trauma
is.
talking.
Exactly. You really touching some people. Erica said, yes, I portrayed myself too long. I shall be healed. That's right, girls. Step
And
up
so
and
it is.
do it. You know what to do. You
So
know
it
what to
is.
do. Look, if
Show
you
up
forgot,
tonight.
let me show it one more time. There we go. Man, Sarita, any parting words? This was good today. This was good.
I knew this was gonna be a good conversation. Like, but I want to say, hey, OG.
Remember her from last time? Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Go ahead, sis. What are you about to say?
I just want to honor and acknowledge each and every one of you because despite whatever you've been through, despite what decisions you've made or what crazy ass relationships,
Mhm.
you have the courage and the willingness and the desire to show up for yourself.
Yes.
And it's so easy to, build receipts of all the things that you think that you have done wrong. But I promise you that's trauma because there's so much about who you are, the miracles you've created, the wonderfulness about you. So while I talk about trauma, the whole point is to be able to shift your vision to understand and embrace your innocence because you are innocent, my loves. You are. You have done the best you could with what you had, and your trauma is not your fault. You are not to blame. You never were, but it is your responsibility to heal.
Yep.
It's your
Robin said that.
responsibility to put in the work to love you.
Mm, 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 mm. That's some good stuff. I encourage everyone to step into their power and purpose, and let's continue this healing so we can show up as the true God we are.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Be healing for real.
I love this. Yes, I'm walking into my purpose. You are giving me some good medicine.
I love it. Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here live too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Regina just signed up for the challenge, and she said,
Hi. Hi, Regina. That's right. It's going down.
I will definitely be there. So everyone, make sure you please, once again, take a screenshot or sign up right now so you won't forget. And visit Sarita at loveyourchallenge.com, as well as go to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together and sign up or subscribe because I definitely have. Oh, that way you can go back and look at other videos that Sarita and I have done about the Black Superwoman
That's right.
and Toxic D. Uh, yeah, and toxic relationships with family. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
they're all amazing videos. But where is it? Right there. Go to Black Girls Getting Their Shit Together. And then you can look at Sarita. Point to your name, Sarita, the whole therapist.
That's me. Yes, that's me. Yes, make sure a lot of you are already you follow me, so you know where to find me. I love you all, and I'm so grateful for you, and I'm just grateful that we healing. Okay,
We are.
for real.
And Erica just signed up.
Hi,
Hey.
Elsa, I'm glad. Welcome.
Yeah. All right, you all. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all in class. And yes, Erica, yes, make sure and like and share this video with someone.
Yes, do that. Do what Erica said.
Do what Erica said. At least share it with two of your sister friends because we got to increase this healing circle.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
You all have a. Sarita, will you come back again?
Always. I'm a show favorite. Always.
Yeah. Let's do that for sure. Everyone have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Make sure and love on you. Make sure you get your shifts together. And let's hear. Oh, yeah, Sarita. Sarita, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Guess what?
What?
You are a Black girl that has her shift together.
I worked so hard for it. I own it.
queen sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and booty walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sin kiss got his heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping. Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog. When God made you, boo, you know he showed out. Mahogany enchantress, blessings overflow now. Picture of success, seductive silhouettes on a spiritual quest. Manifest and be blessed. Mother, sister, auntie, tribe of Ashanti. Rocking your locks, I got a close crop blondie. The curse and the gift, uplift, apply pressure. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together.